Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Royal number RH35. This is a typical residential style hinge that's going to be used by pre-hangers when doing residential doors. Hollow core doors primarily. Obviously solid core as well, you'll see a hinge like this. But let's talk about what it is. First of all, this is a full mortise hinge. You can see from the swag on the hinge leaves there, right this area here, that when the leaves are brought parallel, they're meant to be mortised flush to the edge of the door and frame. And it's a 5-knuckle hinge as well. You can see why it's a 5-knuckle hinge. Features a 5/8 radius, and that radius is created when you are using a router that has an 1¼ inch diameter bit. And the reason that large bit is used is because you can take your tool and go through the door and frame and a pass down, up and over, and then you've mortised or routed or evacuated all the wood for this preparation. And if you leave the corner treatment on an 1¼ inch diameter router bit, which they certainly do exist, you'll be left with a 5/8 radius. That's what you're seeing here. Okay. This is a loose pin. That pin can be driven out should you want to. This is going to be made of steel, and this is in a 26D finish, and that stands for satin chrome is what it means. It'll have a satin chrome plating on it. We'll have a lacquer over it as well. This is a plain bearing hinge. There are no bearing packets at all, and you would normally see a bearing packet at the top intersection of the two leaves and then at the bottom. That would be a BB RH35, and I would recommend a ball bearing in any instance, really, unless you have extremely light doors that are hardly but ever used. Even in a moderate application in a residential, like maybe at a solid core or a panel door, it would be a decade before you really started to see the fatigue of the hinge, but nonetheless, you will certainly see the fatigue of the hinge. I have even seen a plain bearing hinge used in a commercial setting, very high-end, high-volume, well-known national name of a restaurant operation, that within 2 months the hinges literally fatigued. There was a 1/4 inch wear pattern on the leaves. Ball bearing is always a better choice. Unless, of course, economy is the most important thing, ball bearing is a better choice. The location of the holes are considered template. That means that they are in the standard installation location for a 3½ inch hinge. Speaking of those holes, screws are going to be included. These are what are called fly cut screws. And a fly cut screw basically has a feature to the tip right there. You can kind of see it right at the tip of my finger, where as you're running it in, it's kind of evacuating the material out without having to pre-drill the holes, is the point with a fly cut screw. These are used in semi-automated equipment where you have pneumatics that are driving screws to screw driving machines, and they're done very quick as the eye can see. And that's what a fly cut screw is. Outside of that, you're going to be able to get this hinge in lots of different finishes from Royal. Your brass, your bronze, your chrome, satin, and polished. I'm sure they'll do a dark bronze as well. Leaf thickness is probably about 97 thousandths. Nope, about 85 thousandths. 85 thousandths is the leaf thickness. A 3½ is the size of this hinge, and this would be the appropriate hinge to use on 1 3/8 doors. 1 3/8 doors. You can use them on thicker doors, but 3½ wide is the size you use for 1 3/8. You wouldn't use a 4-inch because you're hardly going to fit it on. You can use this on an 1 3/4 thick door, but for an 1 3/8 door, you wanted a 3½. The height is the first dimension. The width is the second dimension. That probably may not be important to you at this time on this hinge, but just know the height is the first dimension. When you call it 3½, it's 3½. It's important when you deal with a rectangular hinge like 4½ by 6 or 5 by 10 or 4½ by 4. You need to know which is the first dimension. Okay. Nice quality hinge from Cal Royal. They are an importer, a large importer of hardware, a incredibly diverse line of hardware, hinges, closers, exits, lock sets, electrified hardware, trim and auxiliary hardware, weather stripping. Their list continues to evolve, and the things that they sell and make available to their client base continue. Every other month I get a notice or a notification from Cal Royal they've added a new product, is the bottom line. And I prefer working with them in the sense that they continue to earn my business. They're prompt, they're predictable, they're reliable, they ship. You send them a PO, within a couple of days you have an acknowledgement, and a day or so after that you have a tracking number. Sometimes they're better, sometimes they're longer, but they're pretty prompt, reliable, predictable, and that's why after 25 years I continue to use them, is the point. If you have any questions on the Cal Royal RH35, and it's a pack of 2, order in multiples of 2. They're not going to break this box open. Luckily, this client needed 30 hinges, so in this box we have 15 boxes of hinges for the client. That's how that is. And finally, below this video is a link to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Cal Royal products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. If you have any questions on the Cal Royal RH35 3.5 standard weight, forgive me, residential weight, it's a residential weight, satin chrome hinge, or any other Cal Royal product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.